Okay, TCP Nation, we're at it again. It's the Texas Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association Convention, and I managed to wrangle Tucker Brown into the studio, the booth, and we're just going to talk about his story a little bit because I know there's some cowboy perspective in there.
You bet.
And I love the fact that you're not afraid to do some things to help share really what our culture's all about, what our morals and ethics are all about. So thank you for that. You're what I think is a great ambassador for our business.
Well, thank you. It is using social media isn't necessarily the traditional way that maybe the cowboy perspective mind works of connecting with people, but it's been such a really useful tool of reaching people that I would never have reached before.
Yeah.
And a consumer that's hungry for knowing where their food comes from or who's raising it. There's just a whole lot of people that I would rather, or that they think is raising their food that they don't like, and I just want to say, like, hey, it's families like mine that have two little girls and a wife, and we're working on the ranch, and like we're families just like you. We're not really that different from you.
Outside of the fact that you know what poop smells like,
right,
and you know what like a blizzard is to work in. I mean, I think about how I think about meat and the nutrition of it and eating it and all these things. Well, I don't know the exact percentage, but we're like 2% or something of the population. So somehow we got to get that experience, those opinions, those understandings that we got thanks to growing up in the thing out to the other people somehow.
Yes.
And that social media is a great conduit for it. A person with a kind of mind that thinks like yours is a great conduit for it. I'm thinking of one post you made that was almost a tongue-in-cheek thing about how when you do social media, you walk in and grab something from your hand and give one shot, and then you leave.
Then leave, go to brunch.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I've found that it's a whole lot more fun for me to make fun of myself a little bit of how people may picture me.
Yeah.
When really I don't have to hide anything. I'm confident in my ability to be a cattleman or a cowboy, and I don't have to. I'm not doing it on social media so that people can tell me what I am.
Yeah.
I'm just really trying to show what we do.
Yeah.
And I had a guy tell me that being 2% of the population, the other 98% is still voting on regulations that we go by.
Yeah.
And that really opened my mind. And I'm not much of a political guy, but I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the respect for it, but they've also been separated from it for 3 generations. Mm-hmm. And the more you learn about anything, the more respect you have.
If you don't know anything about it, the first thing somebody tells you is all you know about it.
Right.
So if that happens to be the wrong thing, that's now that's what you think it is. So I love this, and I think we find in our political arenas these days a lot of echo chambers where it's just, man, this is the left is totally stupid, the right's totally stupid, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think we all have our own share of stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my life and the things I care about and my family lean conservative. We lean towards the value of agriculture and these things. But that doesn't make us absolutely right. All we can do is vote, participate, be a part of the republic, like do the thing. And that's partly what I'm trying to do with the podcast is say the words, give the conversation an audience. I run a little bit of this risk of having an echo chamber because most of my audience is going to mostly agree with me just because that's who's listening.
Yeah, and ag tends to be in that. We don't get into agriculture to talk to a lot of people. That's really, we get in it so that we can get away from a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there's so much opportunity in the social media realm and speaking realm of being a cowboy hasn't been this cool in a long time.
That's right.
Whether you like Yellowstone or not, the Yellowstone effect I'm riding the coattail of.
Yep.
Because if you put on a cowboy hat and sit on a horse, people want to listen to you.
Yep.
They want to. I mean, there's just so many people that tell me I want your job so bad.
Yeah.
And the first thing I think of is like that blizzard in 21 where we lost electricity and we're breaking ice and saving cattle, and it was like, no, you don't. Yeah. And then I'm reminded.
Think about the fires in the Panhandle. You know?
Right.
It's like, I was talking to a guy named Day Harrell. He's from Fort Stockton. In 2008, his ranch burnt to the ground. House, ever fence, sheep. Sheep are walking around with the lanolin in their wool. It's just boiling them, basically. Such a sad thing. So he went from a thriving business to nothing.
Gone.
And then that's something I guess could happen to all of us. I mean, any business could go down. I mean, there's parallels in everything, but agriculture is so dependent on Mother Nature, and these just stuff happens, blizzards, all these things. Yet we love it. We ain't gonna quit doing it, even though the blizzard sucked.
Right.
It was still better than a day in the office.
Yep. Yep.
And so I don't blame people for wanting to be a part of it or kind of envying that job. That I think humans naturally want this connection to the earth.
I think you're right. I think we all kind of have a little bit of cowboy in us, all. And people itch that by getting a garden or by having a dog,
hunting leases, stuff.
Yeah. And so, the cowboy lifestyle is a little bit romanticized by some TV shows, but really there is some of that romantic tradition that we get to witness and be a part of that's special, that keeps us coming back.
Yeah. I wear this hat, and most of what I do for a living is sell bacon, sausage, and ham to Whole Foods, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, these kind of higher-end retailers in towns like L.A., Miami, Atlanta. But the hat has always gave me a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And it was just lucky. I'd be demoing bacon in L.A., and they'd say, wow, thanks for wearing the costume. And I'd just be like, come back tomorrow. I'll be here again. But they thought I was some kind of guy acting like a cowboy. All right, so let's dive into tell me some stuff that you've learned just accidentally or on purpose. I feel like all the cowboys and my dad and my mom and these people that pour into me do it. Sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. Sometimes I don't know they're doing it. I know you got some fun stories to tell from out on the ranch. Maybe it wasn't your dad. Maybe it's just those hands. Like, I remember some of the hands taught me so much.
Yeah.
I don't know if hands is disrespectful or not, but they were work hands on the ranch.
Yeah.
And they weren't scared to give me a scold in or straighten me out just like anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really good stories of growing up as a kid, and whenever I got to I work with my family, and whoever says working with family is easy is a liar.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have it any other way. But whenever I got to get away from my dad and work with just one of the cowboys, I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And but really one of the ones that first sticks in my mind was really not too long ago. It made me feel like a kid because it was on social media. Somebody said something I didn't like, and I was getting mad, and I just said, man, this guy's such a fool. And he's like, no, there's two. And I said, what? And he said, he who argues with a fool proves there are two. And you're arguing with him. And
so this was in a social media chat
It
or something?
was, yeah. We were pushing some cows across pasture, and he said it, and I was just, pretty humbled by it, of just like, wow, yeah. You called me a fool, and you're right.
Yeah, that's right. There's two.
But there's so many opportunities of. There's an older cowboy in Throckmorton County named Buzz Thorpe, and his grandson has won a couple of gold buckles in the team roping at the NFR. Wesley Thorpe.
Wesley, yeah.
And so Buzzy is one of the best cattlemen I've ever gotten to be around. Very quiet and loves to watch. And I always thought that the handiest guy was the one doing the work, but he just learned so much by watching.
Yeah.
And I could tell whenever he was seeing, I mean, now that it took me a while to get that look that he saw, but I could tell when he knew something was coming, whether the cattle at the front were starting to go off, or he was always watching. And I don't have that. I don't quite have that yet. I don't know if I ever will, but sure enough, trying to learn it, of just his eye of learning where cattle are going to go before they go.
Yeah, it's like they've got a third sense.
Yeah.
Or I don't know why I said third. We all got three of them. Sixth sense. A sixth sense about, like, they have just been around those. It's like time on task.
Yeah.
You spend enough time on whatever it is, you're going to get better at it. You may not be world class, but you can't help but get better. So those guys that have just been around cattle, watching, you said a very yeehaw thing in my mind. Like, I'll have my producer stick in yeehaws, so this is one of them. Watching and paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, I got smacked on the back of the head so many times as a kid for just not paying attention. Like, that's how Dad was training me. We're driving through the pasture, and he's like, what was wrong with that bull back there? I'm like, what bull? Smack. It's like, your job is not to ride in the truck. It is to be here and pay attention.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any similar lessons?
For sure. I remember one time we were calling cows up. It was with our bull manager at the time, but we were feeding some heifers, and he had the siren on, and I was just waiting. I wasn't watching, and he stopped, and so I pulled out my phone. I was probably in junior high. Pulled out my phone, and I don't know if I was probably checking Facebook or something.
Yeah.
And he didn't. We sat there for a long time. I just kept scrolling. And finally there was a cow that was at my window, and I was like, they're here. And he was like, I was just going to see how long it took you to know they were here.
Right.
And it was almost that same story. I mean, he didn't give me the swat, but it just made me feel like I did.
Sure.
Because I wasn't paying attention. And those ones where you get humbled are the ones I remember the most, because I'm like, all right, I don't want to feel that way again.
Yeah.
And what can I do different to...
What made you care, though? It's like, I feel like I bump into some people who don't care. It's like they just don't care if somebody else is disappointed in them.
Right.
Do you have a pulse or an idea of why you cared?
That's a good question. I love people, and I like to love on people and be loved by people. And even though performance isn't what my life is valued on, I know that I tend to lean towards success as being my value. Yeah. Even though I know that's not the case. But I don't know have you ever done any of the Enneagram tests?
I'm familiar with it, but I couldn't tell you.
It's a really neat tool.
Yeah.
It's not the full answer to anything, but a really neat tool. And I took the test, and it kind of told me that. It's like, well, you base your value on your success or your failure, and I was like, oh shoot, I do.
Yeah.
But I just use that as a tool to remember that that's really not what my life is based on, and remember that it's through the blood of Jesus. That's where my value is, and then and that. Yes, I do want to be successful, and I want to be loved by people, and that's just really, I don't know. I remember some interns that didn't work out, and the Cowboys just being like, he's a lazy son of a gun, and those were the worst words, and I never wanted my name to be in front of that.
Yeah. I think God gave us this special connection with our family, with our dads and moms. Basically, Dad was my hero.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to be happy. So that's where it came from for me.
Sure.
And then I started projecting that onto other things. So, hey, if I do good at this football game, Dad's going to be proud of me. Actually, the truth was, Dad loves me unconditionally. Like, I can't F up bad enough for him to stop loving me.
Right.
Like, he might not like me, and he might be really, have some serious problems with my whatever it is I'm into. But he won't stop loving me. And that's Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like you can't mess up bad enough that he won't love you. You've never looked in the eyes of another person Jesus doesn't love.
Yeah.
That makes you think. You're talking about serial killers and pedophiles and stuff that makes me sick at my stomach. Jesus loves. The grace has been extended.
Yeah.
I'm no preacher, but
that's truth.
Well, I'm born again Christian. I have a relationship with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and it guides me. It helps me get through crap.
Yeah.
It's like that friend, that leader that you need. Matter of fact, was it you that hooked up old Dale Brisby to do that sermon?
Yeah. My dad had the
huge
idea.
Belt buckle and talking about. I watched that. I like that. I like Dale for that reason. He's built a platform, which is pretty impressive, which is a great marketing mind. He's a good salesman. He's a great comedian.
Yeah.
But he's also, growing the kingdom by sharing this stuff. So, hey, Dale, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure he's not, but I appreciate you doing what you're doing. And you are too. Kind of bringing him to the church, filming it, putting it out there, all those things. So, good job to your dad.
Yeah, what I love what Dale did, it was, he has the character of Dale Brisby and being the proudest of himself and no humility. And then he came and spoke to us about just how pride gets in the way of everything that God loves, or that he wants for us. And that's so true. And a lot of times it goes back to where my pride was hurt and those memories that I have of where I learned the most.
Yeah.
That pride kind of got in the way. So it was really cool to hear Dale say, I'm the best bull rider there ever was, but if you got too much pride, you better watch out. For him to play both sides of that. But he is an incredible businessman, and being able to, he's been way too kind to me of just kind of letting me be his little brother and thumping me around and keeping me out of trouble. Not trouble, but just protecting me. Did you know him
prior to the Dale Brisby?
Not really.
Character?
No, he's just about 30 miles down the road from us.
Yeah.
And I sell some bulls to him
from
time to time, and I'm friends with his interns, and one of his past interns works for me now.
Yeah.
And we have a relationship outside of social media.
Sure.
And the last thing I wanted was for him to think I was riding on his coattail. Yeah. I just really wanted to learn. If I want to be a good cowboy, I need to hang around good cowboys. Yeah. And if I want to be able to build a good platform, I need to hang around a guy like Dale Brisby who was one of the first.
Sure. To build, I was talking about that the other day. Like he was like one thing people will say, and I believe it is, either be the best at it or the only one doing it.
Yeah.
And he was the only one doing it for a little while. Then he got to be the best at it.
Yeah.
Oh, just his strategy behind how he built those things and what he would do. Anyways, we're really here to talk about Tucker. But we got off on Dale Brisby for a little bit. But I guess that's really because I like how he shares his faith, and you too. So
that's a part of. I always like to share the truth, whether that's the way, the truth, and the life of Jesus Christ, or whether that's the truth about agriculture.
Yeah.
And so that's what I use my platforms for. And I think more than ever, people are hungry for the authenticity through social media, just because there's so much fake stuff out there.
Sure. And I think they want that in everything.
Right. Great point.
So just give me the truth.
Yeah.
Ugly, bad, deliver the bad news quick and direct. It's a good way to manage people, too, I'd say.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to have to do better at that. And if you don't, you ain't going to have a job no more. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it.
With a question for you, where do you, starting this podcast and building your platform, where do you see, this as more and more people want to get into the ranching industry? And that echo chamber we were talking about, what is the future look like of getting outside of that echo chamber and reaching those people who do want to know more, or maybe on the fence line of trusting us as a food source or not?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, the way I'm going to do it, or the way I see it doing, is I'm going to have vegans and vegetarians, and we're going to talk. Like, okay, some of them just don't do it for nutritional reasons. Some of them don't do it because they think killing animals for food, it just bothers them.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means we don't agree on that.
Yeah.
Like, in my experience, that's all totally fine. Or I don't mind having a conversation with an atheist. Like, okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, how are you thinking about that? And to have a conversation, you have to also be willing to consider what they're saying.
Yes.
Is true.
Right.
Like, if you won't consider that, you're not talking, you're not listening, you're not doing any of those things. So, as the Cowboy perspective grows, I look forward to having those opportunities. I listened to a guy named Patrick Bet-David. He built a big insurance business. He's got a pretty big platform. He talks to lots of people. He did a live show with Candace Owens and Chris Como, which is Republican and Democrat far both ways. And it was great. Like, they argued, and sometimes they're talking over each other, and that's kind of hard to listen to. But ultimately, they got to disagree and leave friends. It's like Cowboys did this. I've been a part of a fist fight with another guy that I'm mad at him. He's mad at me. We're settling it. And the next day we're pulling a calf on a bunch of first calf heifers together, working to, it's like, we can do that, folks.
Yeah.
We don't have to. We can disagree very passionately.
Yeah. And
then still come together and accomplish big things. And that's a Cowboy perspective. I've seen that, and I know it's possible. I think we're so prosperous as a country. We worry about pronouns, just stuff that we don't need to be worrying about.
Yeah.
Now, somebody's going to disagree with that, but that's okay. I'm willing to consider, okay, maybe I'm wrong. But from all the research and understanding I have, boys are boys, women are women, and that's the way we got to protect some of those thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
You get these kids watching stuff. I mean, you got kids.
Yeah.
It's scary to think somebody's trying to convince them.
Yes.
Transgender is just normal. It's just, if you happen to want to do that, you could be a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
It's real scary. All right, so anyways, that's kind of serious stuff. All right, what about a funny story? What's it like working with your dad? Okay, so maybe paint the picture for us at the R.A. Brown Ranch. What's the hierarchy of the family? How do the instructions get passed down? Who makes the decisions? How does that work?
Right now, my mom and dad are owners and managers. Donald, my dad, typically makes the calls. I mean, he and Kelly talk about it, but he was the foreman of the ranch and has worked at the ranch almost his whole life and kind of has the direction, and he and Kelly talk about it. And
who's Kelly?
Kelly, my mom.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I think some people wouldn't know.
Yes,
maybe
thank you
listening.
for asking that. Yeah, Donald and Kelly being my parents. And then we have so they would be the top, and then we have a foreman position. And that tends to be somebody outside of the family. Hadn't always been that way, but for a while.
Seems to be a good idea.
I think so. For us, it's worked well.
Yeah.
I've moved into that role temporarily between foremans, and that's probably when my dad and I have fought the most.
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty healthy for us to have somebody in between. And then with social media growing, it gives me some really cool opportunities to go to different places, and probably I bet they wish I was on the ranch a little more.
Well, see, that's a great thing to explore. So let's just take that.
Okay.
So now you're the guy. You're going to be the boss. I mean, you stand to be at some point making the decisions. How are you going to navigate that? Because in almost any job, if the boss doesn't show and kind of gain some of that grassroots respect from being there doing the work, getting the poop on their boots, that's a little bit harder. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it could cause some animosity. We've seen it in a lot of different places. My hope is that I never get far. I think what makes my platform work is that I am on the ranch. Yeah. That my boots are dirty. That I am riding the horse. That I am roping the calf. And I like that. I love that part of it. So I don't want to get away from it either.
Sure.
But it kind of goes back to that authenticity part of just it really is authentic that today we're weighing bulls onto a feed test. And we're not doing it for the video. I'm videoing it because we are going to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
So I hope I never get away from that, and because I think it really makes me who I am. But I think there's some opportunities that will be tough to navigate. I've tried to get better at knowing where I can be the most valuable. Mm-hmm. There is some fence that need fixed, but that's not where I'm the most valuable. Whenever I could be speaking at an event like this, whether it's talking to customers, whether it's putting our brand out there in front of others. I love marketing. It's kind of where my niche is at.
Yeah.
And I can hire somebody to fix the fence. Mm-hmm. So
all you got to do really is carry back some of that education you get in these places in some way to those people. Then all of a sudden they start saying, oh, that's why Tucker's doing all that, so he can help me succeed.
That's my hope.
It really is. They'll see that. I think that's the challenge I find is I'm not around. I'm not sometimes sweating like they are. And if I don't ever connect with them and let them see, I'm picking up things not just for me, but for you too, for us, then they start kind of relaxing some of those things. So brand building. By the way, if you need to go, take off, because I could just go on with these questions.
I'm enjoying it. I promise you. I love talking about this.
That logo on your shirt, that brand on your shirt, that's it. That is the Cat's Meow, the Fiesta de Resistance, however that goes. Like, you build that thing right, you're going to have opportunity to live the life you want to live. This is my perception. This is how I feel about it. How do you feel about it?
No, I think you're right. Sometimes we love the saying of riding for the brand and getting our cowboys and our employees to do the same thing. How can we invest in them to where they realize that, we care about the ranch, but we care about them too.
Yeah.
And so if we can make that brand mean something, that's people like to buy from people they know and trust. And if we can know more people and get more people to trust us, that's good for our relationships and it's good for our business.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever been successful alone, whether it's with a podcast, whether it's with ranching, whether it's farming. I don't know of anybody that's ever done it alone. And so I'm not a nutritionist. I need help knowing the nutrition on our bulls.
Yeah.
I'm not a chemical specialist in knowing what chemical I need at what day to kill these mesquite trees. So I may not know those things, but I know somebody who really knows it. And so that network can really increase my net worth by knowing more people.
Yeah. Well, my selfish reason on top of just wanting to spread the word is you're on the podcast. Now we've talked. I have your cell phone number.
Yeah.
We're in a network together now. So you leverage me. I don't know what for, but you might find a reason to. I may be able to leverage you. Not in a I want to use you way, but in a, hey, if we connect these dots, it's going to be good for everybody. It's a win-win. That's network.
Yes.
And that is you hit the nail on the head with that. It's where your $1 billion are in your network.
Yeah, I don't think enough people do that, build their network, because we get comfortable in our little circle of friends, and I see why. But man, I don't like being the biggest fish in the pond. If I am, I'm in the wrong pond.
Well, in fact, Dudley Brothers raises horned Hereford bulls.
Yep.
R.A. Brown Ranch raises red Angus bulls, black Angus bulls, In fact, we're trying to sell to a lot of the same people.
Sure.
So we're competitors.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like, there's room. I had a guy say it once, and I love it. In America, it happens to be the opportunity is so abundant. Nobody else has to fail for me to succeed.
Yeah, that's good.
It's great. So quit trying to think I'm making others fail so I can succeed. Just go succeed.
Yeah.
And they can too.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, y'all do a kick-ass job of building that brand, raising bulls and all those things. So, matter of fact, I've got 2 of them on a little commercial herd me and my dad and brother have, and they're raising some real pretty calves. Red Angus on some Hereford cows.
Yeah.
I thought something about the red is just calling my name. Maybe it's because I always had Herefords, but I feel like I was trying to buy some heifers, and the red heifers were always more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. We're just trying to raise some red ones. Do you see any of that do you see something percolating in the breeds that is worth exploring?
Yeah, I think, just like you said, the female side, the red is very, it's growing right now. I mean, Red Angus has been the fastest growing breed for a long time. Yeah. And part of that's because it was one of the smaller breeds. And
yeah, it's easy to grow.
Yeah, it's really easy to grow.
Yeah.
So, once, what I love about the Red Angus is there's not many people that keep a Red Angus cow around just because she's red. They keep her because she's a good cow, because she has good feet, good udder, she's a good mama. But I know a lot of people that'll keep a cow around because she's black.
Yeah.
Whether she's a good mama or not, her calf's going to bring a little extra dime at the barn.
Certified Angus premium.
Yeah, and which is one of the best marketing.
Oh yeah.
Not scheme, but like plan.
They're brilliant.
Ever.
Yeah.
So
nobody can argue that.
No.
I've never heard anybody say that was the stupidest thing any association ever did.
Yeah, what a great idea. And we raise black and red because we do like both. We know, we recognize the strengths in Angus, and then that where the reds are just pretty strong on the maternal side.
Yeah.
And so the reds, I think people are going that way, one, because there's some hybrid vigor, whether it's going to a Hereford, using a Hereford bull on red cows, or whether it's somewhere else with some Bos Indicus cattle. So,
what did you say, Bos Indicus? What is that?
With the Brahman cattle. So a lot. There's some more wanting some
See,
red
you just
Brahman
taught
cattle.
me something. I've been in cattle my whole life. I don't know what the heck Bos Indicus is. Is that just a eared? That's where the Brahma influence comes from.
Very much so. That's more of like the Nellore, the breeds that are in South Africa, South America, a lot in South America, but in the United States, it's more of it's Brahman.
Yeah,
it's a different species, is what I understand.
Okay, all right.
And so the
good.
Bos Taurus would be your European breeds, your English breeds, more of your Angus, your Chianea, your Simmental, your
Charolais,
everything that mostly we use, right? Yeah. Your Herefords, which I did get to go. I did get to go to one Dudley Brewer sale whenever I was going through the TCU program.
Okay.
And it was just really neat to see another. I don't get to go to many other sales.
Right.
So it was really cool to go to y'all's. One, because it's just similar. I relate with the family history, working with family. Really, it was just really cool to see that as a student. You know, I'm proud to be where I'm from, but getting able to see, like, man, we don't do the same thing, and they're still successful.
Yeah.
So there's more than one way to succeed. That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. And there's like millions of ways to succeed.
Yeah.
All right, what about horses? See, now I love horses.
Yeah.
If you were just going to say, I had to pick one animal and that's the only one I could ever interact with again, it's going to be a horse. Do you have this? Well, like, how does horses rank in your hierarchy of animals?
Oh, I love the horse. Kind of pulls in the romantic side of the cowboy lifestyle, I think, which I do really adore. I really like it more now probably than ever. But my brother and I worked. My brother's our horse trainer, Lanham.
Okay.
And he's getting really hard to make fun of because he keeps winning. He just won the Snaffle Bit Futurity, which is like the Super Bowl for these horse trainers. And But don't get me wrong, I'm still going to make fun of him. He's still my little brother, right?
Right.
But we work really well together because he needs cattle to work his horses, and I need good horses to work my cattle.
Yeah.
And so I don't love horses like my brother does. He adores horses, loves horses.
Sure,
That's his itch. He's got that disease, whatever it is.
Yeah,
he's got it.
He's bit.
Yeah, and so I get pretty spoiled because I get to ride some phenomenal horses that won't make the show ring, but are just phenomenal ranch horses.
Yeah.
Because of what my brother's been able to do, just breeding to really strong horse lines, and doing a good job with that. So I've appreciated learning from my brother has made me appreciate training, just what it takes to train a horse, and then respecting that horse when I'm using it.
Yeah.
You know, respecting the athletic ability that they're using, or the knowledge that they have to help me get my job done.
Man, yeehaw to that. Loving your brother for his talents.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome. I don't know if I do that as good as you. Like, I got a little brother who's got amazing talents, but we're just really different. Like, he's just quiet. Like, he really don't want to mess with people. Not that he hates people, but he's like an artist, really. He can braid rawhide really well. We always laugh. Have you ever watched that show, The Man from Snowy River?
I love it.
I loved the horses.
Yeah.
He loved the whips.
Yeah.
You know, so it's funny how we can all be tweaked a little different and really kind of glean cool stuff from different things. So as you're watching from the outside, what do you think your brother's, like number one characteristic is?
Say that again.
I'm sorry. I feel like you have these earbuds, so I'm just talking to the mic. What I was asking is, so what's Lanham's characteristics that like you really look up to or you appreciate?
Oh, yeah. So Lanham is very much, I'm more of a jack of all trades kind of guy, but a master of none. He is more of a, I've got three things and I am going to be really good at them. Yeah. And horse training is one of those. He's got the bug to win at those, and he'll do a lot to win. Yeah. And cheating's really not one of them.
Oh, sure.
But just spending the time it takes, and he's typically not, unless he's with me in the arena, he's typically he's the biggest fish whenever he's at home.
Yeah.
But he spends a lot of time with guys who are $1 million riders, who have won a lot of money, who have been training horses a long time. And I've probably learned that from he and my parents, that being around those other people just kind of pushes you to be more like them.
Well, when I was rodeoing, I wanted to rope against the toughest. Like, if I just went to the little dinky jackpot and won, it was like, okay, cool, yay, I needed the money, but I'm not winning yet.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really doing the thing. And in my mind, and I think most cowboys' mind, they want to work on the big ranch. They want to work with the top-notch people. And that's how you test yourself to see where you're at.
Yeah.
And give yourself a measuring stick to go for more.
And another characteristic I really appreciate, there's a lot of really good horsemen out there that are not the best teachers. And you ask them, here's my problem, how do I fix this? And they're like, that's just feel. And to them, it is feel.
Yeah.
But I appreciate my brother more all the time, because he's like, all right, this is what it will feel like.
Yeah.
And maybe he can't just completely describe it, but then whenever I do feel it, I go, oh.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So, he's kind of brutally honest with me whenever I'm in the arena of like, what are you doing? Yeah. Which I need. That's why I go there.
Yeah, sure. Has that always worked out good, though? Do y'all butt heads? Not really.
I mean, when growing up, just like any other brothers did.
Yeah.
But now we've kind of separated into our own niches and recognize each other's success. I think that, are we going to heckle each other still? Am I going to make fun of him for trotting circles and spinning? Yeah. I'm going to make fun of him. Is he going to make fun of me for being a ranch influencer? Yeah. He's going to make fun of me. But I think I know we both bring value back to the ranch, and I don't think lazy has ever been said by about either one of us. So, and I hope not.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a time where, whether it was junior high or whatever, that had been said to me, and changed my mind of, what I didn't want to be. So.
Yep. Oh man. Okay. It's been a long time already. Thank you so much. Last question, I promise. Wow, you're Tucker Brown. You get to be on the R.A. Brown Ranch. You just got the silver spoon in your mouth. How does that feel? Like, how do you deal with that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's one that burns me a little bit. Probably more than a lot of things. But I've definitely learned of how to reply. It kind of goes back to getting kind of hated on social media, of people like, well, you're not I can ride way better than you. I'm like, congrats. I'm glad you can. But I'm riding. Right. I'm still doing what I love. I don't need your approval. And it's kind of the same way. Most of the time when somebody says that, it's because they don't know me.
Hey, now I'm going to put words in your mouth, and don't let me do that. Nobody ever hates on a loser. Like, that just doesn't happen.
Hey, hang on. There you go. Go ahead.
Nobody ever hates on a loser.
Yeah.
So when you're successful, you're going to get hated on. That's just the way it is. Nobody says you got a silver spoon in your mouth because you can't have access. You don't have momentum. You don't have certain things they wish they had.
Right.
Right. So that's how I kind of think about that stuff. But you're right. It burns. It's like, can't I have a little credit for... Now, yes, I think it's fair to say, man, my parents handed me some momentum. My family did. My grandparents did.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that.
Yes.
But they have not guaranteed me success.
No. No. That's part of why, I don't know, you get under the umbrella of both my parents just being phenomenal, successful people and working their tail off for it. I've always wanted to build something of my own that I don't think my parents could have gotten me 500,000 followers over social media.
Right.
They're like, oh, you only do that because you're brown. It's like, they had nothing to do with that. I mean,
and anybody that says that has never tried to get followers.
Yes, right. But that's just, I think it would make me more mad if people got to know me and then thought that.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I get the feeling from the people I meet that it's the other way around, that even if they do think that after getting to know me, they realize that it's not a silver spoon.
Yeah, you bet. Tucker, thank you for your time. Yeah. I want to do this again in 5 or 10 years because there's going to be a lot of new information to share about and to think about, and your daughter's going to be older. Okay, tell me how many. You got 2 kids?
Got 2 kids.
Got 2 kids. So they're going to be older.
Yeah.
See, I've got 13, 12, and 9. So by then, mine are kind of going to be going to college. Yours are going to be in this stage of life. And as a parent, man, those stages, you're getting educated by the fire hose.
Right.
It's like,
Learning on the run.
Slow down. So anyways, I look forward to some more conversations. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody, go check out Tucker Brown. We'll put all the links to his social and stuff. I guarantee you'll enjoy watching. It'll be entertaining and educational. So go to the show notes. Thanks, everybody.